And now I will convene the meeting of the second. My agenda here. Sanitary District number 2. We do not need to salute the flag. I guess we should open for public comment if anybody wants to.
We'll call the meeting to order.
Oh, sorry.
And then I'll do a roll call.
Okay, I'll take 2.
Okay, Board Member Andrews,
Present.
Board Member Beckman,
Here.
Board Member Casissa, Vice President Thomas. Here. President Ravazio.
Here. Okay, so we'll go directly to open time for public comment. Is that okay? I don't see anyone in the room waiting to comment. Is there anybody online?
We don't have any hands raised from attendees online or any emailed public comment. For open
Okay,
time.
so no presentations, but we'll go to the consent calendar. Just one item on the a consent calendar is the regular meeting minutes from our last meeting on October 16th or 15th. Is there any conversation or a motion for approval? Or public comments as well? Any public comments on the consent calendar, whether to take anything off?
We don't have any public comments for the consent calendar.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve item 4A.
Second.
Okay, Board Member Andrews,
Yes.
Board Member Beckman,
Yes.
Board Member Casissa.
Yes.
Vice President Thomas.
Yes.
President Ravazio.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Okay, moving on to business item number 6A, consideration and possible adoption to the district manager to approve the plans and contract documents, authorize advertisement for bids, and award a construction contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for the base bid amount not to exceed 2.5 million plus an additional 10% contingency for the Category 5 Sewer Rehabilitation Project, Phase 1, number 23-205. I think we have a staff report.
Great. Thank you, Board President Ravazio and members of the board. So this project is an important one for the district. As you all know, we've been recently completed the sanitary sewer master plan after 3+ years of work, and we're able to do a full condition assessment of our sewer mains to determine on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being worst, how they rate structurally. Secondly, several years ago, we entered into a settlement agreement with an environmental advocacy group called Riverwatch, and we have some requirements there to satisfy to invest $5 million over 5 years toward Category 5 pipes. And so really this project is geared to work toward both of those and just the general desire and need to, address our most severe infrastructure, especially those that are carrying our effluent. To date on the Riverwatch settlement, we believe we've satisfied about $2.5 million. So this project could actually get us, I think, all the way out of our remaining commitments there, at least, but if not very close. And that's ahead of our September 2026 deadline. So that's all good. The other thing I would say, just in kind of overall approach, we've generally been following this neighborhood geographical approach, which makes a lot of sense. And it allows us to kind of take advantage of a lot of work in one area, reducing the amount of time contractors going back and forth, and also plan that with our roadway improvements. But for years, we've also been saying, we need to have kind of a designated project to go grab those really the worst of the worst segments and bring them up. And so this contract was executed in June with Schaff and Wheeler after we had a good sense of where we were on the master plan. And we said, hey, we don't want to lose a season what is the low hanging fruit of the category fives that we can attack without delay, and without delay, that's 6 months is a pretty quick turnaround. So that's what we have before you. We also have in our work plan, draft work plan, to have a second phase that'll happen later this summer. But again, these are some of the most critical sewer main infrastructure needs that we have in our district. So we want to address them as soon as possible. And this project, the engineer's estimate is $2.1 million. And to save time and to get into construction sooner, we're asking for authorization for a district manager award for an amount not to exceed 2.5 million for the lowest responsible and responsive base bidder, plus a 10% contingency. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
How come we're not going through a bid process before we get this?
So this is the advertisement that will then go through the bid process. So we still will be bidding it.
Right, but what part's going through? Because you have an estimate on here that's 2,000,001, but we're authorizing up to 2,000,005. So if I'm a contractor, I would come in at 2,000,005, knowing that that's the top limit that the town's willing to go to.
No, so this, yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't clarify. This is still going to be competitively bid. And so it's still going to go to the lowest bidder. And we've had even on a 5 to 10 bidders. So if a contractor, I mean, they would probably just get outbeat if they took that philosophy, unless our estimate is way off.
And then, so given that, how confident are you with the estimate?
I mean, we're as confident as we can, given what we know as kind of in the design phase and of market conditions, but they're very dependent. I think it's a good time of the year to bid it. This could come under estimate. It could come above. You know, no one ever knows for sure. And if we did, then we'd probably be on the contracting side winning every bid. So, yeah.
Okay, and we're really looking at a total of 2,750,000, correct? Because there's a 10% contingency built into it.
That's in the worst case. So that's if bids come in over estimate, we would still have the ability to award it up to 2.5 plus another 10%, plus we have construction management. But again, it also could come in at 1.8, and then we're doing $180,000 contingency and 225 construction management. So we're far less. So it's, you know.
So I'm sorry, construction management is built into this or it's not built in?
It is. We have it estimated at $225,000.
Okay, and then if we approve this, you'll come back to us to let us know what the winning bid is?
We typically publish all that on our website as soon as we get it. Lauren has done a great job of that. And so it's out there within usually 24 hours.
Okay, if you can just push it out to us, because I'd like to know what the bids are when they come back or what we decide to do with this.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, given these locations and how important it is, how will you know whether a contractor is falling behind? And what will our remedy be? Because I remember when they did the curb cuts all over town and it never quite got done. Okay, so we had to bring somebody else in. So
So a couple of things about these projects in particular. Prior to the work, we do a CCTV of the pipe condition.
talking to the microphone.
Yes. And then as part of the final process, we also CCTV the work that's been performed. And so that, for one, allows us to see that the pipe has been replaced and most of these are often, older clay pipes. They then get replaced with either fused high density polyethylene pipe or as high grades PVC. And then also we have active inspection teams there seeing pipes going in the ground to ensure they are meeting the profile that's in the design. So, that is why we have to invest in construction management to make sure that we're there to see it go in the way that we want. But again, we also have the video at the end to make sure that it's a competent pipe as intended.
Bite my tongue.
Mhm.
And Amy Ackerman, District Council. I just want to add that we have robust contracts, and our contracts have a lot of different remedies in them in the event that a contractor is not performing. And I can say that having worked with RJ now for 5 years, I can't think of a contract that hasn't been performed to his satisfaction. There are times when we do need to take certain actions to get that outcome. There's a recent contract where we
To adjust that.
strong actions, but I think between the construction management as well as the penalties that are in our contracts, we've been very successful in ensuring the work is done and the work is done to RJ's satisfaction.
Yeah, and thank you for flagging that. I probably didn't answer it as well as I could have. So our contract has a liquidated damages clause, and I don't know exactly for this project, but it's usually $2,000 a day if they go over the working days in the contract. Separately, since I've been here in 2018, we've had to go after the surety, the bonding company, twice because the contractor has either gone default or near default and has not performed. And in one scenario, they had to bring in another contractor on the bonding and surety's dime to finish the project and also pay liquidated damages. And then on the other one, the original contractor ended up performing the work, even though it took them 3 times on several streets, but they also did pay a steep penalty in liquidated damages. So we can't, given the low bid environment, we can't just pick who makes it as headache free for us as possible, even though that would be nice and convenient. We're obligated to take the lowest bidder and hold them to our contract and design plans.
What sort of due diligence do you do to make certain that they're solvent enough to complete the contract?
So they would have to have the required licenses and bonding capacity. On our sewer district projects, they also have to meet a certain financial rating. But really what we put in the document as requirements is objective language. We can't say, well, we called your 2 last agencies you work for and they said you did a bad job. That's not a legal option for us. So as long as it's in our contract requirements, that they have certain things such as licenses and other things, then those are enforceable. But the reality is we often have to deal with contractors that want to test and try and cut corners. That's a big part of what we do. I might estimate 1 out of 5 contracts is a contractor who's trying to, cut a corner, but that's why we have a team that's experienced in construction management that is on top of them. And even though it's not always fun, we're there when things go south and we'll eventually get it right. So.
Okay, not seeing anyone to make a public comment. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just had one question about how the process will go. So other than if any of the contractors were watching this tonight, which nobody is, how would they know what your ceiling is, or do they know? Or are they just giving you an estimate purely out of their own experience?
So I mean, it'd be one thing if we were an agency that is in a really remote place with not a lot of contractors in it. You know, I have a friend that works in Monterey and they get some projects, they only get 2 bids, or sometimes they only get 1, and they're really hoping they get more bids. Okay, that's a scenario where floating a cap number out there could potentially be a problem. But people that are bidding on these, I mean, especially on our sewer side, I mean, I think there's a good chance we get closer to 10 than we get closer to 5 bids. So they're competing against each other.
That
Yeah.
answers it perfectly.
And just one more question. So out of those 5, let's say 5 to 7 bidders you get, how many are companies that you know you would prefer not to work with, that you would really prefer to have I mean, are they generally qualified and good companies, or do you end up having to?
You know, honestly, my team and I, we're just used to the way the public system is. We're used to dealing with the contractors that give us very little problems, and we're used to giving the contractors that, you know, want to test us and see if we're, you know, paying attention. We'd love for them to all be smooth, but that's just not how it goes. And so it just kind of comes with the territory, you know, and if I had to guess, like I said, it's about 1 in 4, 1 in 5. We get into some sticky situations, and it does require more staff time, but that's what the public contract code requires.
Mhm. That's tough. Okay. Do we have any comments coming in online?
We do not have any public comment for this item.
And I see no public wanting to speak here. So are there any comments from the board before we move on?
Thank you. Yeah, I would just point out that first of all, great staff report. Thank you. I thought it was concise and complete. I would point out that our Public Works Department has a very strong track record of successfully managing the bidding process, and also of whenever bids are not to their satisfaction, they come back, you know, RJ typically comes back and reports back to us. And like I recall a number of instances where he said, hey, we could go ahead with this, but I really feel like if we rebid, we could get a better price. So I feel like there's no reason to doubt that RJ knows what he's doing when it comes to getting us the best price that is likely to be possible out there. And I'd also point out just that they have a very strong track record of managing contractors to complete work satisfactorily and on time. And obviously, as has been mentioned, we've seen situations where contractors have failed to meet the requirements of the contract, and they've been held accountable by Public Works, and Public Works made sure that at the end of the day, the work was done correctly. So I have every faith in their ability to successfully execute on this project, and I am happy to support moving forward with authorizing RJ to go ahead and advertise for bids.
Anybody else? Would you like to make that into a motion?
I am happy to move that we authorize the district manager to approve the plans and contract documents and authorize the advertisement for bids and award a contract for construction to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, not to exceed $2.5 million plus an additional 10% contingency.
I'll second it.
And that, for
Okay.
project number 23205.
I'll second that too.
Motion and a second?
First that.
Board Member Andrews,
Yes.
Board Member Beckman, Board Member Casissa.
Yes.
Vice President Thomas,
Yes.
President Ravazio.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Okay. Great work, RJ. District manager and board member reports? Do we have
No
anything?
report.
No report from RJ. What about from any of you? I know you actually told us about something related to this previously, so we already know that. And then also, nothing from you, anybody? Okay, discussion of the draft agenda for the upcoming meeting. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I hope it gets canceled.
So with
Kidding, guys.
with that, we will adjourn.